Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're talking about something that could fundamentally change how AI works. It's called MCP, the Model Context Protocol. And honestly, it's a pretty simple name for a really powerful idea, one that aims to fix one of the biggest headaches in AI right now. How do we get our smart apps to actually talk to the real world? To connect to things like your calendar or even super complex databases. But hey, before we dive into the solution, let's just ask a fundamental question. Think about it. With all these mind-blowing advances in LLMs, why is it still so difficult to build AI assistants that can actually, do stuff for us reliably? The answer, as it turns out, is kind of messy. It's hidden in this tangled web of digital wires and connections.
All right, so let's unpack that mess I just mentioned. Because to really get why the solution we're about to look at is so elegant, you first got to understand the problem. And the problem is, well, the way we connect AI to tools right now is just a huge, complicated tangle. It's way more complex than it needs to be.
So here's the deal. Right now, if a developer wants their cool AI assistant to connect to anything outside of itself, doesn't matter if it's a huge research database or just a simple Wikipedia search, they have to sit down and write brand new, custom code just for that one connection. It's basically like needing a completely different, unique cable for every single device you've ever owned. Total nightmare. And this is where it gets really painful. Sure, connecting 2 or 3 tools by hand, okay, maybe you can manage that. But what happens when you need to scale up? What if your AI needs to talk to 100 different tools? The code just turns into this unmanageable spaghetti monster. And the worst part, if just one of those tool providers decides to update their system, poof, your custom connection breaks. It's fragile, it's a huge waste of time, and it doesn't work at scale, period. So how in the world do we fix this mess? Well, that brings us to the hero of our story, the Model Context Protocol, or MCP. And the idea is so simple, so elegant, that people are already calling it the USB-C for AI. And you'll see why in a second. Okay, so what is this MCP thing, really? If you want the formal definition, it's an open source standard, a common language that lets AI apps connect with external stuff like data, tools, you name it. But a better way to think about it isn't as a piece of software. Think of it more like a universal language. You know how HTTPS is the standard language that lets any web browser talk to any web server? It's kind of like that, but for AI. And this quote right here just nails it. Remember that drawer full of tangled, one-off cables we talked about? Now, what if you could throw them all out and just have one? That's exactly what USB-C did, right? It created one single port for everything, your hard drive, your monitor, your phone. Well, MCP wants to be that single, standard port for AI, one connection to rule them all. Just look at this comparison. It's night and day, right? On one side, you've got the old way, that chaotic, tangled mess of custom connections, and on the other, the MCP way. Clean, simple, a universal standard where everything just plugs in and works. All right, so a universal port for AI. That sounds awesome, but how does it actually work? Like, what's happening under the hood? Let's pop it open and take a look at the mechanics. It really boils down to 3 main players in this system. First, you've got the MCP Host. That's your AI app. Think of a chatbot or a coding assistant. Then, living inside that host is the MCP client. Its job is to speak the MCP language. And finally, you've got the MCP server. This is the gateway to the outside world. It's the piece that actually connects to the database, the API, or whatever tool you need. And this is the magic right here. The protocol itself. That's the real innovation. It's that shared language, that common ground that lets the client on one side talk to any MCP server on the other side. It doesn't care what tool that server is hooked up to. They all speak the same language. Okay, let's walk through this step by step. Imagine you ask your chatbot, hey, how many new customers signed up this week? So first, your app, the host, pings the MCP server and asks, what tools you got? The server might say, hey, I can talk to the customer database. Perfect. The host then packages up your question and that list of tools and sends it all over to the big brain, the LLM. The LLM looks at it and goes, aha, I need the customer database for this. It tells the host, which then tells the server, go run that query. The server gets the data, sends it back, and the LLM uses that info to give you your final smart answer. See? It's a really clean, logical flow. Okay, and this is where it gets really exciting. Because this isn't just some nerdy technical detail for developers. A standard like this could unlock
a totally new era for AI agents. So let's talk about why this actually matters to all of us.
Think about it. Once connecting to tools becomes this easy, this standardized, the possibilities just explode. We're talking about an AI assistant that can effortlessly check your Google Calendar and your Notion notes to help you plan your day, or an AI that can literally look at a design in Figma and spin up a working web app from it. This isn't science fiction. This is the kind of powerful stuff that a universal standard like MCP makes possible, like right now.
And the best part? Everybody wins. It's a win for the entire ecosystem. Developers win because they can stop wasting time on custom connectors and start building amazing apps way faster. The AI applications win because they suddenly get access to this giant ecosystem of tools. And, maybe most importantly, we win. The end users. We get AI assistants that are way smarter, way more capable, and actually useful.
Okay, and this is maybe the most important takeaway, especially if you're a developer. In an MCP world, the company that provides the tool, let's say it's Google or Notion or Figma, they are the ones responsible for running their own MCP server. So what does that mean? It means when they update their API, they update their server. The developer's app doesn't break. That whole nightmare of constant maintenance, it's gone. It gets shifted from the app developer back to the tool provider where it belongs. That is a huge game changer. So this brings us to the big, exciting final thought. By creating this universal plug-and-play standard, MCP isn't just making a developer's life a little bit easier. No, it's opening the door for a massive leap forward in what AI can actually do for us. We're not talking about connecting one or two things anymore. We're talking about a future where we can connect, well, everything. So I'll just leave you with this question to think about. What would you build if any tool could connect to any AI?